Joe Chappie.
I'll
He's
call
on
this
strike.
meeting-
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
call
he's
this
the
meeting
best.
to order. I'd like to call the
He's
meeting to
good.
order. Roll call, Counselor Marquetti is here, Counselor Dow,
Present.
Counselor Steves,
Present.
Steve Lazo, he'll probably be late, and Kevin Splain.
Present, no, it wasn't my turn to watch explain.
Also in attendance is Counselor Catrona, Counselor Lazo, Derek Citizen Julian, and Heather Blakely, Town Manager, and Maureen Doyle. Consider and approve the joint DPW Town Council meeting minutes of September 21st, 2021.
Motion.
Second.
I don't have them in my packet.
You're the
What did I give you? Did I give you the agenda? Because I lost my
You gave
agenda.
me the agenda.
All right, can I?
He gave it away.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. yeah.
That's fine.
So it'll take a couple minutes to look it over.
Do you want me to go copy one?
It's all right,
I borrowed his.
I can read it from you.
That's what I thought.
They're reading the minutes. Is everybody okay with the minutes?
Motion, yeah.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of the minutes? Thank you. Citizens Forum. Anybody, any of the citizens have anything they want to speak to tonight? Anyone?
Can I just ask a question as a citizen? Thanks. Everybody knows who I am,
Counselor
Joe Catrona, Southbridge. And I apologize for not reaching out to the TM, but the question was just, I received a call recently, just before the meeting, about an hour before the meeting. Just a question for Heather. A resident on Chapin Street called me, and I don't know if you've heard of this issue happening. He says his water, and I'm gonna go look at it tomorrow, invite him in. He said his water is slimy, greasy, and smells. When he talked to Lynch, somebody from Lynch, they told him it's because when they put the pipes together, they use some kind of goop. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I'm not in the construction field. I don't understand. He said they told him just leave your water on for a week or two, and it'll go away.
Leave it on.
So I've never heard of this, and I don't know if you've heard other residents that have complained, had the concerns. I will go look. It's an apartment on Chapin Street. I
I
told him I was just getting in and I'm running to a meeting. So
honestly haven't heard, but he should call the water department and lodge his complaint with the water department. They can come and take a sample and see if there's something
Okay.
going on. But we haven't been getting calls, so that's the first complaint that I've heard.
Fair enough.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Julian, anyone? Okay. All right, thank you. Agenda item number 5, review and discuss the proposed change order number 1 to contract with Broken Stone for road improvements on Page Hill and Clemens Hill in the amount of $30,160 for reclaim, fine grade, and compaction. Change order will allow Page Hill and Clemens Hill to be final paid. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend that council approve said change order number 1 with funding for project number 64843 roadway paving improvements.
Just,
Motion moved.
just a friendly, it's Massachusetts Broken Stone. I don't know how that got deleted. Their name, the company name is
Mass
Massachusetts.
Broken Stone,
Yeah.
okay. And who made the motion?
I did.
Councilor Dow.
Steve second.
All right, discussion. We'll let Heather go first.
Okay. So, I think we're pretty familiar, most of you are familiar with what the conditions are like that up on Page Hill. While I was on vacation, the contractor had agreed to try to go back and mill a second pass to get it down to gravel so it could be graded to a consistent gravel base with, and the concept was that then we would start with putting a new base coat down and a new top coat down on top of it. They did attempt to mill. They found the pavement was much thicker in some places and decided that it really wasn't going to work. So they pulled out and decided they couldn't do mill the asphalt out as we had originally, as we had discussed. So I walked the site again with the contractor. He says the only way that he can see us being able to get a consistent base is to have it reclaimed. So the original reason we were milling, it was in the contract, we were just gonna mill again, basically another square yards. This is now a change because we have to add a line item basically for reclaim. So he went out and got prices for reclaim, including fine grading and a calcium cap. So they come and they put calcium down, helps stabilize the road base to make it a little harder before they pave. This is the only method that he can see to be able to provide a road that he can back up and guarantee. If we try to pave over the existing material as it is now, he's concerned that those red edges where it's disturbed, where it's already at gravel, will act much differently than where we have asphalt. So in order to not have that situation go, so you know, you want to, when you pave, if you're paving on top of a consistent asphalt, it holds it and it's asphalt. That's what we were trying to do with our mill and overlay project. Pave on a good asphalt base. You know, now we have large sections that are gravel. There's not much asphalt there. So if we did pave over those, we'd likely end up prematurely having failure. So that's why we've come with this change order. It is a very reasonable price for milling, for reclaiming. I'm actually kind of shocked at how reasonable it is. It is for both sections, both Clements and Page Hill, to the whole thing. Everything will be consistent. There will be a section of Page Hill on the bottom that we likely won't reclaim just because the water line is so shallow there. We probably hit the top of the valves and we can't do that. So right at we'll end up, but the asphalt is thickest there, so that's the good part there. So we'll have to make some cuts of where we are and then do our base coat in one section, and then the final overlay will be there.
Okay, you all set?
Mhm.
We'll go with Councilor Dow first.
Thank you, Mr. Street. That's what I was gonna ask you, why they're stopped working there. So how long this contractor been in business? That's his first job?
No, he's been in business for a long time. That's not the question of whether he is.
And when he bid on a job, he doesn't know what he's bidding on?
You won't always know what you're going to get into. In addition, widening of the road has changed the conditions up there, so we did make some changes up there that happened after the fact. If we had left the road at the same width, we probably wouldn't have been running into this problem.
He never went on that road before he bid on it to see if it's wide or short? He didn't see it before? Like when you wanna bid on something, you're supposed to see it or look at it, or you have some plan.
He did see it. That came up after the fact that he bid on it.
It's sort of a point of information, but I thought through our discussions, part of it was when we bid this out, it was based on the assessment of the road conditions by Beta, and that road was only slated to be a mill and overlay based on their review and assessment of the road. So that study that was done 5 years ago that we built the pavement management plan on said that was only supposed to be what it went out for, which was the mill and overlay.
So we selected roads to do mill and overlays on based on Beta's road condition reports that we had, that we paid for, our pavement management report. So it was slated to be a mill and overlay at the time.
Thanks, sir. Okay, Mr. Julian?
Thank you, through you. I have worked with Mass Broken Stone for several years. I know Phil personally. I will say that a lot of the roads that they milled in town, it was supposed to be a 2-inch mill, 2-inch overlay. They did go deeper than 2 inches at a lot of spots, which compromised the base coat of the road. I had brought it up to Heather, and me and Heather went and looked at a lot of things. I spent 4 hours with her one Monday, and we went over a lot of this stuff, and I said, the roads are compromised. I said, you know, we have to have a base coat down before we put a top coat. With that being said, we met with Phil, and went over a lot of things, and I told her from the get-go that Page and Clements Hill should have been pulverized or reclaimed, whatever he calls it, and regraded, because there is a flat spot on the top that needs to have a better crown at the top of the first hill on Page Hill. There's a flat spot there where the water puddles all the time. There needs to be a better crown so it gets to the drains. As you're going up the hill, it has been widened now, which that also compromised all the edge of the roads. So pulverizing that road and bringing in the proper gravel to be able to compact and bring the structures up to height before you put a complete base coat down and top coat is really the way to go, to stabilize that road the way it should be. I do agree with what you're doing now, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Lazo.
Quick question. If a road is being milled for 2 inches and you had somebody analyze the road, do they do some sort of boring for the thickness? They do it just by looking at it?
It's all visual.
I personally, I would just common sense in the building field, I thought they would drill a visual hole.
And we can definitely do that in the future
Yeah.
internally, you know, we can cut a patch out and look at it. Again, though, it's only in one spot. Like I said, you go to places in Page, there's 6 inches of asphalt. And then you go to places in Page, and there's lucky if there was 1.5 inches.
Right.
So it is also where you pick your point. You're not gonna go do a whole series of borings, because it's just not cost effective, and then you're gonna have all these holes in the road that are gonna be a problem in the future, because you can never patch them correctly,
Right.
unless you're really gonna go right and do it. So,
I just don't know how you determine the thickness of the road.
you,
When I do a concrete removal, when I'm removing a concrete floor and we come in with the hammers, we do I'm not saying a boring like a big boring. I'm talking about a 1-inch hole where you put a tape in to find out where
Yeah.
the depth is. And, you know, your depth of your asphalt, or your depth of your concrete, or some sort of investigative stuff.
you know, and it definitely can be done, but like I said, I could go.
I mean, I think you have to do
I
what
could
you have
go
to do now. That's all
10 feet away and
Going forward.
on those roads and be
Yeah.
completely off. And we did that on Main Street. You know, people ask me the same question. We did take test borings on Main Street. We cut holes in Main Street. We didn't get what we saw. What we saw was not consistent with what we found out there. So the data is only as good as many data points as you get.
You good?
Yep.
Mr. Spine.
My only question is if this gets approved tonight, it goes to next town council meeting, when is this gonna get done? Because the roads that are beat up in this town
Yeah,
right
I
now,
know.
residents are getting mad.
Oh, no, I
blame
don't,
'em. I don't blame 'em.
I don't blame him either. So
I mean, there's a gentleman, top of Clements Hill, he can't even get in his driveway, he drives his BMW on his lawn. I feel bad for him. He's got a lip that's over 6 inches.
which I said he should just call and we'll get some cold patch in there. So
I don't think he should have to make the call. I think Mass Broken Stone should be fixing that. They're the ones who screwed up the road, because my opinion is we voted on a 2-inch mill and a 2-inch overlay, and they went more than 2 inches. There's no doubt about it.
So, the schedule is, if this goes, that he is putting us on the schedule right away to get it done. He knows he's running out of time with the weather, and paving is very weather dependent, so.
And that's the reason why I'm asking. It seems
Yep,
every
nope.
single time we have a paving project in this town, I mean,
It gets pushed to the end of the year.
Brentwood Drive.
Yep.
Our
Sure.
paving in this town is horrible. I drive all other towns all day long. Sturbridge got beautiful roads, Dudley, and they're done like this. Every time we have a paving project in this town, 3-4 months to get one road done. I don't agree with that. I don't know. I'm not impressed with Mass Broken Stone.
Like you said. Did Councilor Steves or Councilor Dow want to ask anything? No?
No,
Okay.
No.
Counselor Down?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Truly. Are we gonna check for future data if those guys are gonna put 2 in case in 50 years from now, I mean 10 years maybe?
We pay by the ton of asphalt and by the ton of asphalt that goes down. So yes, we will know how much asphalt that goes on the road.
You know, like in the future, you don't have a wrong data saying 2 and 2, you only have 1 or 3 or, so who check on these guys if they're doing the right amount of pavement on that road to
It-
make sure
it-
done correctly?
It goes down when you set the paver, you can set it at a certain thickness, and we can check when they're paving it, yes, it will be checked.
So somebody's gonna be on site sometime
Yeah,
to check it when they're
we will
paving?
be there at the beginning of the paving job to make sure, and then it's paid by ton, so you can calculate based on the size of the road, how many tons should be
I
down.
know, but they can say to you, it took a 10 ton and it
No,
took
it's
8
slips, they
because...
give us the actual slips that come from the trucks. It's just like a concrete truck that has a slip, this is how much I'm delivering to you, that's how you get paid. They get paid by the ton. So it doesn't benefit them to short us, because that's less tons than they actually will get paid for. Do you understand? So they would literally have to be diverting trucks to different locations, and that, it's not happening, so.
Okay, Mr. Julian?
Having worked with Mass Broken Stone as long as I did, they do have a program, and in the office will give the driver 2 slips. 1 slip goes to the guy on the paver, and the town normally has somebody there that the second slip goes to. So the town can keep track of how many ton they're actually paying for.
Yeah, but you say only will be there at the beginning. And we will
When
collect
they
it.
start paving, you're gonna have somebody
Yep.
there to collect slips
Yep.
from the trucks.
Yeah.
And then-
Yep, go ahead.
So you're in the industry business.
Yeah.
So I can get a slip and I can turn that truck. There's nobody there to make sure that truck get there to get the slip from. That truck will go somewhere else.
And
I got
we
the slip.
wouldn't be paying for it.
You're gonna get the slip as the truck backs into the box.
Nobody here
She just said there's gonna be somebody there.
when they start.
Okay,
From the start, when they start paving, there'll be a town employee there.
Not all the time.
She just said there will be.
I don't
like
really
other-
worry about them
Only when they
falsifying
start,
strips.
and then they leave.
all right, hold on here. Let Heather answer the question, please.
I don't really worry, but if it means that you want me to assign somebody there, I will make sure somebody is there. It will not be me or Matt, because we have way too much to do. It will have to be Phil or Glenn or one of my other guys. But that's all, we've paid forever. We go and we check, we make sure that the trucks are coming, we know how the rotation of the trucks, you know, there's 3 trucks coming in, the 3 trucks are here. I don't believe that we've ever been. They also have a running total on the trucks, so you would see if there was a slip that was out of place. They come as a total for that job.
Okay, now Counselor Dow, do you have something
Continue.
new to say here?
Can continue,
Go
one
ahead.
more question. So the data we have already for Page Hill,
There's no asphalt on Page Hill. They haven't put a dime of asphalt up there.
now,
Nope.
what I'm saying, why we have change in order? Because we have the wrong information, correct?
When they milled the road, and because of other conditions that happened after they milled the road, by expanding it and everything, they have looked at it and decided that it's not going to work with the method that was originally proposed. So they're proposing a different method for getting us a good final product, a final product that is going to last. This is an improved product over what we would have done, and it would have failed. And that's, you know, when will it have failed? Would it have failed in a year? Would it have failed in 2 years? Would it have failed in 5 years? I don't know. It probably would have lasted 5 years, but it would have failed prematurely. It wouldn't have lasted, especially on that hill.
Thank you.
All right. So if there's no other discussion, roll, Counselor Catrona.
Just quickly, Heather, and I know it's on others' minds and I'm going to bring it up. There was a private contractor working up there. I did send an email to the TM on the 20th. Unfortunately, I did drag the email out and I heard nothing back from the TM. And I did bring it with me this evening. There was a private contractor working up there.
Mm-hmm.
Was he working for the
He was
current
working
contractor that was
directly
up
for
there?
the town.
He
No,
was, okay. Does that have to, or should that have gone out to competitive bid?
it was, It was done because we were
Point of
trying,
information, I did
Hold
respond
on.
to that. No, but he.
No, let me respond, because I didn't see it.
That's fine, just,
I responded that same day.
I didn't see it, TM.
Okay. No, I was like, it's not that I don't.
Okay, no, I brought the whole string with me, and I didn't see it.
I'm happy to show.
Okay,
And the reason, was I checked with Ms. Blakely about it. If it's over $10,000, we have to do between $10,000 and $50,000. It has to be a solicitation of quotes. We have to get at least 3 quotes. If it's more than that, because this is a public works project, then it would have to go out to bid. The nature of the work that she was asking him to do within Great All, she had indicated that he was going to do, was going to be below $10,000. So we can use what's called best practices of what we've done in the past. And based on the type of equipment she said that she needed, they didn't have, that's how they wound up going with him. And I believe I said that in the email, that it was below the threshold that would require the competitive bid process. And I said you could get additional specifics. We since have the invoice, it is below $10,000.
I'll look back for that email, thank you. If I can continue?
all right.
Thank you. And Heather, I'm not picking on a person, on a private contractor, I happen to like him too, but it seems like we constantly use the same private contractor for
I
a lot
haven't
of
used
works.
him
I
for
know he was
anything.
up on Dudley River, I mean, he was up on Dresser Hill Road when we had issues up there.
he was working for the solar farm then, not for us.
That wasn't for the town.
No.
And he
Okay.
is one of the best road guys. you'll
I don't
ever meet.
question, I'm not questioning
But
that at
that,
all.
I'm honest, that wasn't for the town, he was working for the solar company.
Okay, no, I'm not questioning at all, I just, okay. All right, I'm all set then.
All right, thank you. Does anybody else have anything else? Anything else?
Just a quick comment. Heather, I know a lot of the DPW directors in the other towns and stuff, and I know I brought it up, I think, with TM and stuff. Guys like this subcontractor are hired by many towns, and he does a lot of work in a lot of towns, and he is a blue chip road guy, if there is one. And for me, I talked with some of them, like they pre-bid things at the beginning of the year, much like your snow contracts. Do we do that on the excavation hourly rate on machines? Do you think we should get into that maybe?
I actually had a conversation with the town manager earlier today regarding the same type of thing, and I said to him, I don't have a reason why we wouldn't look at something like that, but you also have to realize when we award a contract, we have, in order to do that, you have to have some money set aside that you would actually pay these people from. And not knowing what you're going to use them for, I wouldn't know where that money was coming from.
Okay, Heather, let me give you a scenario. You know you're not gonna spend what we don't have, we all agree. So, but when you at least send it out to bid, not on any project, but just flat rates for these guys to show up and do work. Like a sidewalk guy,
Yep.
$10 a square foot, okay, $10 a square foot, and you don't use them the whole year. Then you don't spend any money.
Nope, I agree.
But in some cases, when we do have money or a grant or something coming in, wouldn't it be easier on the procurement side, easier for you?
Oh,
Now you could just turn around and drop a line and say, TM, I got this job, and this guy bid this thing
Yep.
competitively at the beginning of the year, and we have a list of contractors to low bid like that, and then go into the pool, so to speak.
We had discussed that we would look at it and
Yeah.
try to see if we could formulate a way that it would fit into procurement.
Just
That
trying
at
to
the
make it-
time, I didn't know, I know other places have done it. I don't know how, other places aren't, have done things the same way from year after year after year and not always updated their standards to follow new procurement rules.
I think you should put out the bid
So-
annually.
I understand, but I have to make sure that it fits inside the current procurement laws of the state of Massachusetts.
Oh,
And that's
absolutely.
where I'm going to lean on the town manager
Absolutely.
to say, let's look at some ways that some of the other ones have done it and make sure that it fits within those.
Yeah.
Because I have seen some of those and I question how they've done them.
I'm
I
not
guess.
saying do it like them. I'm saying do it like you. When you go out for snow bids, the packet goes out at a specific time of the year. Everybody bids it. My truck is this much an hour, will you set the rates, whatever. my thing is, if you do it in construction, it would be easier for you in the end if we come up with some money or a project comes to or something.
Or an
unforeseen.
emergency happens and I have
Because
those
then you
people
come
already.
to a councilman and say, I'm gonna
Yes.
put it out to bid. In the middle of the year, by the time you get it put out to bid, by the time you get it done, in the chute,
Yep.
so to speak, it's
Takes a
snowing.
long time.
So, to me, to alleviate the long time, I think if we did something like that, do it like we do it, not like the other towns. The concept is what I like,
Yes.
not exactly what they do. So the concept is very productive as far as scheduling for you if something comes up. That's the only thing I was thinking of. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Julian?
To touch on what Council Oswald just said, we just had this happen in Sturbridge, and my company was actually the one that did the job. When an emergency order is issued, you can hire people that are on your list, and my company is on the Sturbridge list. So I did the Hall Road project, the water crossing. So it is good to have that on hand for a company that gives you an hourly rate for the day.
Yep. Daily
You
rate.
can, a daily rate, you can justify and break it down to, what you get paid for truck per hour, machine per hour, or you just give a daily rate. That way, if an emergency comes up, you got the lowest one for the daily rate and just bang, go, let's get this done.
That's my point.
I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The only last thing I would like to ask through the town manager, that shouldn't this had come before our committee, before the work was done?
This isn't done, but this hasn't been done yet.
I mean, what you were just talking about.
It's not a
another-
contract.
Another contractor that came up
It's
there.
not a contract, it's a
Okay.
work order.
Oh, all right. And that didn't have to come before the town council for a vote? The other work that was done, I'm not talking about mass broken stone, but the third contractor that went up there.
It was under the amount.
So if there's a certain amount that you can do the job without coming to us for? Is that how it works?
The charter says service contracts and things come, but a lot of things get done on a work order or a PO that come in, and some of them are on short notice, so I don't know how, my read of the charter and the past practice has been, this is how it's been done. I often bounce it off the staff and other people of how it's been done. But I'm just saying, if every purchase order or work order has to come through subcommittee and council, you're never gonna get anything done around here. But, again, if we had done bids and solicitations, we would still have it documented. If we got into a situation where there was a contract required, we would have definitely come through for the service contract. But I'm not familiar with things at this level having to go before the board, and nor has anybody else suggested that. And if it was a contract or something of a larger dollar amount, to err on the side of caution, I'm sure we would come before you, because I would not want to be dealing with a situation where something that big went by. I know some of the past history was, we're not trying to do anything, out of the ordinary. We're just trying to get things done. And we did have the discussion when we first came here, because I was concerned, and I know Mr. Julian came to me the other day asking about it. We want to make sure that when we get quotes that are going to be under $10,000, they're going to be under $10,000, because I went and talked, pursuant to our conversation, the Inspector General and the Attorney Generals, about making sure that we didn't have any issues. So I got satisfactory answers from that.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other discussion, we'll have a vote. All those in favor? Thank you.
All right.
Agenda item number 6, review, discuss proposals for surveyor services for Page Hill and Clements Hill area. Proposals are due on Monday, September 27th, 2021, and information will be brought to the meeting with the recommendation for award. Moving forward to town council is time sensitive. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend that council approve the contract with, to be determined, for the amount to be determined, with funding from project number 64843, roadway paving improvements. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion moved.
Second.
All right, thank you.
I
Heather?
don't know. So, I'm not sure how much I can say. So we did solicit quotes from 3 separate surveyors to have Page Hill surveyed, to make sure that we are working within our right of way and that the boundary is very clear of where it is. So what we did, and I think you guys did get the solicitation of the quote. I'm not sure what was sent out for quotes. I don't have multiple copies here, but I can show you the quote. Yes, that was in your packet? Okay. So we sent it out to 3 people. I got 2 quotes back. One of them you can see I handed out here today. The second one was from VHB. The third, and I'm going to get their names wrong, was another local smaller surveyor, but when he read the solicitation, he said, honestly, he said to us is, if you get nobody else to quote on it, I will give you a quote, but I can't get there for 2 months. So he was honest, and that's why he said, I'm not going to give you a quote because I know I can't get there for 2 months, but I will give you one if nobody else is going to quote on it. I got VHB's, I got McClure Engineering's, who has a professional surveyor that works for him. I actually just got McClure Engineering's at 4 o'clock tonight. That's why you see it in this and that you don't have a summary table. So the critical area of concern is in that base bid, the section basically that is the hill. That is the hill, the section that we really want to have surveyed. When we were putting it out, we said, well, let's get prices for doing the whole thing to see how reasonable they are. If it's in a reasonableness, maybe we just have it all done, because both of these road layouts are from like 1820 something, and they are like described as from, large tree stump, 2 rods wide, past this house. They're not what we would call a true roadway layout nowadays in now terms. With that said, the prices are, I might have handed out my one with the added up prices on it. Did somebody get one with prices on it? No.
Prices?
No, I got it. No, I put big, yeah. So the email has it broken down. So the total for base with the 2 alternates from McClure is $34,470, and that doesn't include setting any iron rods or bounds. The total from VHB is $50,200. The base bid from McClure was $13,120. The base bid from VHB was $18,800. Okay. I know that we are going to have to send 1 pin because we have found the 1 pin that has been disturbed, and I think that we should probably have it reset for purposes of what it is. I am not sure if our contractor disturbed it or not. I can't make that determination. I found it, it was buried, it's in the proximate location where it should be, but it was no longer setting up. So I know it's a disturbed pin. I think as a good faith effort to that landowner, we should restore that pin. I also think at a minimum we should do the base bid. I think the other information would be helpful in the future, but I don't think it's as necessary, and with it being such a big cost, that if we could do the base bid, the $13,120 with an allowance for at least 1 iron pin, we would be ahead of the game. I think we could, he also gave prices for a stone bound at $650 and a concrete bound at $500. I know of one place where there is already a stone bound up on the street. I think it would be nice to have another stone bound on the opposite side of the street so that we had a surveyed location of where the right-of-way width is for the future. So my recommendation would be to award the contract to McClure Engineering for the base bid location, $13,120, including setting 1 iron pin at $250 and 1 stone bound at $650. So if you want me to add that up.
Yeah, no, that's good.
$14,020.
22, 120.
$14,020.
Oh, 6,000, I thought.
14,000.
1420.
Okay, any questions?
Heather,
Yep.
through you, Mr. Chair, Heather, on you're recommending resetting that 110, I agree, we should do it, be nice. But
I think it
my-
will go far for us in the future.
Yes, but my question is what about the other, how many house lot, is there any house lots on that side, or is it just one pin on one side, one pin on the other?
It's one
Is
pin, he has a stone bound at one, on the other opposite side, you mean? Or
On the house side?
the house side?
Is
he
that
has-
the side with,
The existing bound, the stone bound is found at the top of the hill. It's very clear as day on
house
the
side.
house side. It's the pin at the bottom of the hill that's dislodged. The pins, there are pins that we found on the opposite side where the two houses are. Those two, all three of those pins are found. The pin on the opposite side at the top of the hill, I don't know where that is, or if that was a pin that I haven't even looked for, so.
okay,
So that would be my ideal location would be to put the other bound across the
Across from it,
street
yep.
where the existing bound is, and we'd have two stone set bounds, known roadway width in the same location.
okay.
And the road is that lot line is straight, so it's a parallel lot line on the other side.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Thank you.
I'm talking survey terms too, and I know I'm like, you guys get it because you understand what the difference between a bound and a pin, and concrete bounds don't go anywhere. You can't always find them with a metal detector, but they're usually easier to find. Usually.
You set? Thank you. Councilor Lazo?
Quick question, and maybe I'm out of order. Is this still an illegal state, this person up
Yes.
there?
Yeah.
I have no more questions on that.
I'm trying to be very careful with my
I
words.
know.
No, I'm good.
Councilor Dow?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You had you say 13,120 was allowance. What do you mean with allowance? Like they're gonna come back and ask for more money in the future? What it's saying allowance?
No, that's what they're gonna charge to do it.
That's
Yes,
flat, right?
yep.
There's no change of order, no future, no allowance
Nope.
10,000 somewhere?
Nope.
Because that's how usually they do.
No,
Okay.
not for survey. They know what the scope of work is. They're gonna get paid that plus whatever that per bound that they put in.
So you're not coming back for more?
Nope.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Councilor Catrona?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Heather. I also agree. I think Chris McClure, I like their proposal. How do we pay for this? Where's the money come from? The TM.
I would probably propose taking it out of our roadway fund because it is associated with this roadway project.
Okay.
And we do have money, we still haven't spent the 1.5 million that we were looking potentially to spend there, so there is some money there. The same with the 30,000.
So if this is on the agenda Monday night, they have to be numbers, budget. Numbers. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I will make sure that the
Account number.
is included. Yep.
Hold on.
It actually says roadway
No, I was
improvement
just
fund
trying to
there.
help her. We get the details.
I didn't see
It's
that.
actually on the agenda item already, so I had thought of that.
Roadway paving improvements.
Yep.
You set, Councilor?
Yes.
Councilor Steve?
Yes.
One quick question.
Thanks.
What was your thought process in terms of not having them do the entire road this time?
Money.
Okay. I mean, do you think in the long run it would make sense to actually survey the entire road?
Well, at this point,
Given
the
that-
entire road is going to be done
Yeah.
paving, and we probably won't be doing any additional work up there for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I don't see the big benefit. Like I said, myself and Matt were able to find the 3 pins across the street quite easily. We didn't really continue on to see if the other ones were there. We kind of found 3 in a row and went, okay, and they're directly across from the other residents, that is a longer straight line, and we know where his bound is up there. So we you know, we spent a couple hours looking for those 3 pins and we're like that. So we tried to look for a couple other ones on the other side of the road and weren't successful. You know, at that point, that's all I can have. If it comes back to being that, and I will say this, if it comes back to being that we find that we should set a couple more pins somewhere for whatever reason, Mass Electric's property is the next property down. We could not find the property pins on there. When they do the survey, they're going to be in that area. I have a technical service line item. I can pay the extra $500 out of that line item if I have to, you know, if I think, and that's what I would do. I'd say, okay, do those two and do those. But I'm not going to, you know, I don't have enough to pay for the whole survey, but if it seems like we need a couple more pins set, I'm gonna be like, please set those 2 pins too. You know what I mean?
When you talk about Mass Electric property, you're referring to this side of the road?
Yes. It's,
Between
so,
the rivers?
right here, yes, that section and then
The
that
riverside.
section.
I didn't hear the question.
He asked me where Mass Electric's property was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Google Earth.
You all set? Mr. Julian?
You're gonna survey that section of road. That section of road has steep bankings on both sides. When you pave that road, is there gonna be drainage trenches down the side of that road?
No, the proposed way that we're going to pave coming down the hill will be paved, a roadway width of 22 feet with the curbs set in, and then we're gonna backfill the side slopes with grindings. So the drainage will stay in the roadway against the curb and be directed down to the existing catch basins at the base of the hill.
So the pavement's gonna be 22 feet wide with the curbing extended beyond that. The curbing isn't in.
The curb is
included.
it's an integral curb, so it's the 4-inch curb.
Right,
Yeah.
but it's gonna protrude out, it's not gonna be part of
Correct.
the 22 feet.
It's gonna be 21 feet of asphalt with a 24, so it's gonna be 21 feet, 6 inches.
And
Yeah,
then 8 inches
yeah,
of berm.
yeah,
And what's our allotment for the right of way over there?
33. We've measured, we can't go much more, even with what we've cut back, and that's why we picked that width of road.
Okay.
It was 17 before we started.
And how wide are we up at the back corner on Clements Hill now?
I can fit my truck and trailer through there now.
That's why.
It's about the same. It gets narrow right at that one telephone pole, which we can't move the telephone
Right.
pole. So, well, we can, but we're not, so. It's as similar width except for at the telephone pole, I think it's not.
Is there any other, anybody else have anything? All right, all those.
Do we have to change this
Go ahead.
motion now to include my curb?
Yeah,
I just thought of this.
Hold on.
There's a wetland up there. You're not close to it or?
we're within the same right of footprint of
Okay.
water.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Now, what was that again? We have to.
So I
change-
guess, can I make a motion to
Pick up.
recommend to the town council to approve the contract with McClurg Surveying for the amount of base bid of $13,120, and that will include one rod set at $250 and one
Yeah, I would just do,
stone bound at $650.
I would just do the total at four.
Okay,
yeah.
so base bid of $14,020.
Second.
Right, we have to change that?
$14,020.
Yep, yes.
Okay, it's easy.
A friendly amendment is fine, I think, or something like that, don't you think? Okay. All right, all those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me bring these bids in at the last minute. It was just timing.
It's an emergency.
You are welcome.
All right, agenda item number 7, review, discuss grant application for forest steward with Department of Conservation and Recreation and North Quabbin Forestry, Mike Bernard, for a 75% grant up to $20,000. Preparation of grant application as required in the contract with North Quabbin Forestry, approved at Town Council on May 10th, 2021. Entertain a motion to vote to recommend that council approve submittal of the grant application and authorize the town manager to sign all necessary.
Second.
Thank you.
So, I know there's a really long agenda item. So back when we did the forestry management award for the water system for the watershed, part of the requirements of his contract was to apply for this grant. But because it's a grant, even though it's in his contract to apply for it, we're applying as the town. He helps us prepare for it, and it's, going to subsidize it. So I wanted to give you guys a chance to say yes. I hope you do. It's just going to reduce the cost of our, and it's already kind of worked into the cost of that plan. So we have to do it that way so that we can pay this gentleman his contract. I provide you guys with some information. It's a very simple grant application, as you can see. It's basically, it basically asks to check what the landowner goals are, who we are, what our goals are, and, why we're doing this. So Steve Gregoire worked with the forester to go through these things, and this is, what they came up with. And honestly, our main idea here is to protect our water quality and enhance our water quality while making sure that our forest that surrounds and our watershed is as healthy as possible and remains as healthy as possible. So.
A healthy ecosystem.
Thank you. Does anybody have anything they want to ask on this one?
I'm just gonna say, this is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This is free money.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Counselor Steves?
Quick comment. I remember back when we voted on the project, I remember voting against it specifically because I'm not in favor of cutting down any of the trees that are down there, because I think that they are ultimately the longer term protection for our watershed. But given the fact that this is a grant and the council did approve it, I think it was 8-1. So, given the fact that the council has approved it, I have no problem with getting it for money. And if we're gonna do it anyway, we might as well do it first. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Like this, all those in favor? Motion passes, thank you. Agenda item number 8, discuss deteriorating road condition on Ellis Road. Heather, I put this on there because I did get a call from a resident on Ellis Road.
Wasn't me. Was it the Lazo side?
This person said that the road is treacherous, school bus is trying to go up there. This person said if you could get it gravelled and oiled, they'd appreciate it, and I thought that you said you were planning on doing that, so that's why I put it on.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
it has been patched.
Yeah.
I rode over it today, and I'm like, okay, it's been patched, I can see. It's still treacherous. I will tell you that. So, Matt and I talked about this road, and we actually took from the road survey how big it was, how many square yards and everything, and threw a number at. The only way I can see to actually fix this road to make it non-treacherous is to have it completely reclaimed and completely regraded.
I love you.
But, I mean, that's a lot of, it's $160,000. You're talking easily $160K to do that. But, you look back at the history of this road, and we pulled out like this summary thing that was in the file way before I ever was here. I think Maureen put this all together and the thing that's on there. And I know the final agreement actually says it would be that they'd give gravel when they went to court. And Matt and I looked at each other, he goes, well, you can reclaim it and then keep it gravel. And I'm like, you can't keep it gravel, we would lose the road. That lower slope, those houses would be totally gone. So, I don't know of, the only way that I know of, because it's just patch on top of patch on top of patch. You oil that road, it's not going to do any difference. It's still patch on top of patch upon patch. I can't put grindings up there because it's, one part's asphalt and one part's not, and it's not like, there's nothing consistent. the only way I would know to do anything on that road would be start all over, and reclaiming it in and starting would be the only thing. But it is some quasi-public road, and it's not in our road plan. It's one of the worst roads in town, so.
Town Manager McCall, I'll let you speak first.
Yeah, it's more of a question because I don't know the whole history. I've driven out there when I went up to see a gentleman on Gulf Coast Road that I'm sure you're familiar with. But I did take a ride down there, and my understanding was, is part of that private?
So it's,
Well, the reason we're on
You want the history, I'll give it to you.
he knows the road
But
most.
where I want to go with this.
It went to court.
Hold on, one at a time, please.
There's a court agreement between the town and the residents from,
Back then,
Years ago.
the road wasn't developed yet. I mean, the area wasn't that developed.
Right.
I lived up there back then.
right, so there was an agreement, it went to court and there was an agreement. They took them to court, they took the town to court from the residents.
So
So
they clarified
there's an
that.
existing agreement.
Hold on,
Just want to finish my question.
go ahead, Mike.
Had we ever talked about doing a betterment or something?
Yes.
With a buy-in from the residents?
I don't know.
I can tell you there was multiple discussions regarding betterments on that project. I have historical files on most of them. Even this timeline says 1 petition, 2 petition, 3. There's at least 5 petitions that failed. Am I wrong?
That was going to be my list.
I'm waiting to talk because I'm the only guy that has the history.
I know.
We'll go with Lazo
Sorry.
first, all right? We'll go to Lazo.
When I moved on to the road, just before I moved on to the road, all the mailboxes were at the beginning of the street, and the town, nobody wanted to even go down this road. The Board of Selectmen, Jack Howley, the town manager, went to the clerk's office and found the documentation that the selectmen voted to abandon the road. It was town accepted. It was the Paquin Farm and it was a town road. They never went to the county commissioners and abandoned it properly. It is still a town accepted road. Well, the residents, before I moved up there, Mr. Kadraki was my neighbor, they got together, got a lawyer, they took the town to court because they knew that it wasn't abandoned properly. So when they're going into the courtroom, the lawyers advise the town, you're gonna lose this case because it's town accepted. You're better off cutting a deal with the residents to maintain a gravel base, plow the road, and vegetation, and you have that, there might be a couple other things in there. Well, that's what they did. Now I move on the road, and the problem with Ellis Hill is there's a high side and a low side. Well, the town was spending so much money on gravel base, every rainstorm, the road would be down at the bottom of the low end. So I wanna say it was Mr. Stein, DPW director, turned around and said that this would be feasible to pave it or whatever he did to it. But we want to put drainage, so then all these residents gave easements. Take whatever easement, the Schwalls, I can give you the names of the families. They agreed to give all of the easements for the drainage. The town went up there, put drainage all on the left side, under the road to go down into the low side, and then there was an asphalt base or whatever they put in. All the mailboxes went on the street, and the town continued to develop up there. Every lot is basically taken now, and all building permits were given to it because the discussion was, it's still town accepted. It was okay for a while, and then there was a different council, different DPW director. When you go into the file, you see this legal document. So that's the story of it, and I stopped fighting bike sign petitions. You know, I'll pay a third of my side, third, and it always fails. But what it comes down to is, I know it's still town accepted, but the residents up there, I mean, when you come out and you drive down the road, it's just, you know, on the good side.
Yeah, you're in the short section.
The other side, going down the other end, is scary. You know, and then plus you get the low end. But, I mean, for $150,000, and it is the worst road in Southbridge. I've driven all the roads. I thought Denison and some other ones, because when we did the road list, I thought maybe we should move some of the Denison drives around to move them up, so to speak. But Ellis Road, for $150,000, what those residents went through, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't want to make it look like I want to be self-serving, but they've been patient up there, and I give DPW credit. There's more cold patch up there and hot patch. I mean, just last week, if you didn't lay 8 ton of patch up there in little holes,
Yeah, they spent a whole day putting patch
Yeah.
there.
the whole day.
Yep.
I mean, it's just
Poor
not
guys, the whole
feasible.
day.
Paving it for $150,000 and you look at what you have to spend to maintain what you have there, spend $150,000.
I would say that's a good thing. We should probably, Counselor,
Thank you, Mr.
Tom.
Chair, through you. You have extra money? The million something you wanna spend?
I can't do that.
You
It
say
would-
1 million, you say you have 1 million something, you don't have, you don't know what you're
It
gonna
would have to
spend
be next year. At this point, it would have to
No,
go
I
out to
wouldn't do it
bid.
this year.
Can-
It'd have to.
Mr. Chair, can we put it on the agenda to go in front of the council to vote on it for next year's study, whatever you're gonna call that?
I have no problem putting it on the agenda.
Thank you. Because I be in 1 year, we're just talking about it, and I know I be in 20 years in town and still the same. So since 20 years till now, like
That wouldn't
Councilor
be-
Lazo say, the patch.
I'm just gonna tell you, that's keeping the same road width. That's doing very minimal drainage improvements,
Exactly,
basically
yeah.
keep, which it's not a very wide road. We're
That's fine.
not, we really can expand that road.
No, but
The
you-
side drops off so quick, it's,
And then the high side's like this.
yep.
You create an avalanche.
All right,
So it would be keeping it exactly the same width, not making, it would be simply reclaim it, grade it,
Hey,
minimal, pave it. That's all you're getting for 150.
sounds
But
good.
either if it's 200,000, you do it right, because again, from 20 years till now, if you really look what you spent up there, you're talking about $1 million, probably you already did the drain and the pavement right and done with it.
I will say the other
At
side
end
of the
day,
road.
those residents, they pay tax, they deserve to, when they come home after a long day working, to say, thank you, Southbridge, I make it at the end of my road.
I will say that the other side of the road needs work, going out to Charlton, and that side of the road we should think about widening to be passable for 2 lanes.
Since you closed down the main road.
Yeah, right.
I didn't close that down.
No, not you, I'm saying, the
Charlton
Beavers,
closed that down.
the
not me.
Beavers shut it down.
Yes,
Let's do some study on it.
but
Let's study it, what you really need, and then we'll bring it in front of the councilor and we vote on it. This is the
I
best.
wouldn't bring it yet. I think we should look at it as a project, and maybe we have to look at both sides of the road as a project at the same time.
But I like to move on it ASAP.
Well,
I know you have a lot of work. I'm not saying tonight
No.
or tomorrow morning, but it should be one of the priority because it's being like that for many years.
I know it has been.
And it's not fair. It's not fair.
I'm gonna go to Council Control.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I was going to echo what Councilor Dow said. I travel the road as a shortcut at least once a week. I was up there last Thursday. It's been a mess since I lived close by up there. It's always been an issue. $200,000 with everything we're spending and doing in this town. Minimal amount of money to put into that road. Anything for the taxpayers up there to give them some type of relief. This has gone on for 25 years that I remember that I lived up there ago, and I think it's long overdue for the residents. On a separate note, and maybe it's for a separate meeting, or maybe I've missed something from previous councils. Is there a status on the Beaver Road? I'll call it the Beaver Road. I don't know what else to call it.
Beaver
I don't
Drive,
know, let's.
Is that a
hold
separate
off.
meeting?
We'll
Yeah.
hold off on
Okay,
that one.
all right, thank you.
If you want to call me personally, I'll
Councilor
tell you what's
Daniel?
going on.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I believe the project should be done, I have no problem with it. My only concern is do we want to have it as a specific council agenda item, or do we want to include it in the program for next year and mark it as being a priority to be done?
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
that makes sense.
But some, I don't know priority to be done.
I mean, since we already have so much stuff going on this year.
Thank
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Right.
Councilor Steve, did you have something?
you. All the breakfast.
Not really.
Okay.
Other
CNA.
than disagreeing with what
I love Heather.
Councilor, Woodruff
All right.
Sending you flowers tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. It was just a discussion tonight, and we'll talk about it some more. Last item is update on citizen members' Lane's inquiry on street opening permits. I thought maybe you had an answer for him, or if you.
I don't think that he was looking for a specific answer other than he was looking for us to try to figure out a way to enhance our program. One answer I do have for him is that I have reached out to National Grid to review their procedures with them, especially specifically regarding the locations of multiple road cuts in areas, especially like South Street, which they did again.
You see that patch? It's
I
going.
know, it's horrible. So I have reached out to them regarding that and how we're going to address that, and sent them the street opening permit package and say, you need to look at this because I don't feel like, basically like, I echoed what you said. This is not being followed, that, you know, we need to have better procedures. In addition, what I have asked my staff, both Phil and Glenn, to do is that when they are out looking at different items and they see a contractor working, that they stop and take 5 minutes to talk to the contractor, check on the work they're doing, make sure the work they're doing is within our spec, and make sure what they're doing, that they know that there's eyes on them. Maybe it's not constant eyes, which would be impossible for us to do, but just by checking in, sometimes you can ward off a lot of problems or address some issues. And then if there's a question, they can call Matt or myself and we can answer and address that question. Or if they see someone that isn't responding to what they're asking them to do, they can call us and we can try to go handle it. So those two things have been done. In addition, I'm looking at a way that we'll be able to track, right now we track the permits when they get issued in an Excel spreadsheet. You know, they fill out the form, we track them, we sign it, we give it the permit back to the contractor. But a better way of tracking, like when they were inspected, more automated. The water department uses a program for all of the work orders, and I've kind of tasked Mr. Gregoire into seeing if he can develop a work order that we'd all be able to see and be able to check on trenches, which would allow us to track that information better in the future. So in 2 years, when a trench settles, we know exactly whose trench it was.
That's my biggest thing, the accountability.
So I can say that I am working on it. Those are the 3 steps that I've taken to date. But other than that, you know, it's a work in progress.
Okay.
Have you ever pulled anybody's license to install?
I want to say there was somebody back a couple years ago that it was on a sewer line that they did something that basically we told them never to pull another permit. So.
Okay. That's usually the big threat.
Mr. Spine?
Heather, to kind of stay on the same subject, they ground down Main Street today. Do we know when they're paving that?
So they still have a lot of work to do. I'll give an update. I'm surprised nobody brought it up in Citizens Forum. Yes, I know it was a shit show. Yes, today. Tomorrow will probably be.
Keep going.
Tomorrow, so I had a conversation with a contractor this evening, and I said, okay, tell me how bad is it going to be? He goes, well, tomorrow should be a little bit better. We should be able to keep more traffic or have a better traffic pattern, but they still have Elm Street and Everett Street to now make sure that they shut down and get the milling done. And then they're going to also be going up and they have to mill the trench from South Street all the way down to where they're not pulling out all the gravel. And then they're going to be starting to go to gravel base. So they still have a lot of work to be done because we asked them to take that whole road down to base and then build it back up. So the hill is just, they're going to mill the section out and get back down to the gravel. We'll be doing compaction testing on the gravel on the hill tomorrow, and they're supposed to be putting their permanent trench patch in. So they're gonna have some milling, some compacting, their cutback of that trench. They are still on track to be paving in the middle of October.
Okay. So with that being said, they're using road grindings for sidewalk, for lifts.
So I did provide, and they are taking tests of this material.
In my opinion, that's what I keep bringing up, and it's in the minutes of the meeting previous with stones all over Main Street. I mean, we got to stop that from happening. That is extremely, extremely dangerous.
I can't
I don't know
remember
how many
motorcycle.
times I gotta say.
So
mean, they're filling them in with 3/4 inch stones now.
So I have asked them to put, there was a day that they all washed out, which is one of those pictures.
Can I back you up 1 minute? I brought it up last Tuesday at the meeting that they did the testing of the roads. That was at Tuesday. I was hoping that Wednesday they were gonna get cleaned out and hot mix put in. Did not happen. It actually took a citizen to call Matt on Friday, where Matt had to call in Lynch to do it because the
I
pouring
was gonna say-
rain washed them out.
I knew it was done on Friday because of the.
That was Friday. These pictures right here, I just taken. That's yesterday in a rainstorm. Those are the new ones they opened up after. Still, there's no accountability. There's nobody watching these contractors in this town. The other thing I want to question is, we're grinding down Main Street. It's great. We need a new Main Street. I agree with that. Why can't we get sidewalks paved first since they've been sitting dug out, ready to get filled for months? This one right here is already, this is the one in front of Gordon Music, where a private contractor came in, did a new sewer line, put the concrete in, then we ripped it back out.
Because it was.
You cannot walk Main Street from the credit union to Walgreens, the whole length, same thing on the other side, you can't do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna start running into this.
So that was a bad pour that guy did, and we called him out on it. Not
Which
just-
it was, and I agree, it
And we
was.
said, you're going to pay our contractor to pour it right, and they agreed to doing that.
So my biggest thing is that I'm trying to point out, besides this, that, I mean, there's the proof right there. I mean, they're filling them in with 3/4 inch stone, no catch bags in it. I mean, this is grinding yesterday. All the grindings are going down the drains. I
They're
mean,
all deep sump catch basins, and they're required to clean them all before the job is done.
I still say.
If we
should
had
have
gotten,
catch
if we
bags,
had,
but-
if we had bags in those trenches, we would have had 6 inches of water on the road, because they won't function.
But my thing is why can't we get these sidewalks done? I mean, you look at the one at the corner of Everett Street, the post office, 2 highly walkable. Like I said, the sidewalks on Main Street, I don't know what they're waiting for. They're all dug out. They've been dug out and formed for weeks.
I can ask them what, I mean, I think they're just
I mean, I think the town
prioritizing
should have a
other
little
work.
bit more oomph pushing them on this
We
saying,
don't get to do their timeframes,
I mean, it's just,
other than,
it's so dangerous, it's dangerous. ADA would have a field day with this, I bet.
Oh, they would.
except for the fact that it's a construction zone, and in construction zone, ADA doesn't, will say that it's construction zone, and it is all barreled off and said that it is construction.
I still say the town should, I mean, maybe the town manager can call Bill and say, hey, I mean, it's dangerous. Main Street is extremely, extremely dangerous right now. And it's been. Thank you.
All right, Counselor Dow?
Thank you, sir. Call OSHA. OSHA will shut them right down. And you know that. That's
No,
not
they won't.
OSHA approved.
They won't show them up. They probably won't show them up.
No, it's construction.
I mean,
That's-
and then it's just gonna delay the
That's
project.
That's OSHA, you know, I don't know what kind of company will put a stone in the main road like that. Isn't it, is a rule supposed to,
That's
when
a
you
town
sign a
bylaw.
contract, supposed to be a rule,
It's-
like you're
it's a
gonna
town-
chop
That's
that
a
off?
town bylaw they're violating.
No, it's not a bylaw. It's
Well,
a town.
It's a town, according to
It's
their permit.
it's this policy, it's a
DPW
street,
policy.
it's
It's a policy.
DPW policy,
Okay.
and they aren't, we pay for every piece of asphalt that goes in there, and that is
But
why.
it's according to their, when they pull their license,
They
their
don't
permit.
get a permit like that, they bid on a project.
I still say they should have to follow town policy. Everybody should. Any contractor that works in our roads, sidewalks, I think should have to follow town policy. And that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Maybe going forward, Heather, we're learning a lot about road work because we haven't done roads so long now, we're doing a lot of roads. Maybe going forward, to put a spec into the contract when they do the project, that all temporary patches be at least minimum cold patch. So you don't get this, the thing that would scare me about that would be a motorcycle.
That's the reason why.
I mean, I mean, yeah, okay, my van, I drive down Ellis Road every year, I can take care of Main Street. But for a motorcycle on Main Street, just to, some of the nice days, I mean, the last thing you wanna see is that stone the pebbles. That's like an accident waiting to happen. I think maybe going forward, I know,
The problem is our spec and that spec is all following Mass DOT
Put a stone like this?
But if we put it in the
for
spec,
temporary filling, yes.
even if we put it in the spec, you can't, they won't.
No, we can, but we don't, that spec is a spec book based on Mass DOT specs. It's
You
not,
allow the stone to be put in?
I never see
Then
that.
we just put the metal plates over those holes and.
They've been plating and they've been co-patching to the
Sometimes they
plate.
have. Sometimes they
That's
have.
what we all do in the road business.
Right.
But when you have that and you put like a loose material,
these are where they're lowering, what they're doing is they're removing, old,
curb cuts.
yeah, curb boxes, valve boxes on the dead line that now the water line's dead, so they're digging down and removing those. And in preparation, because they knew they were milling so soon, they didn't want to have to spend the additional funds of additional hot mix asphalt.
Okay, now hold on here.
But-
Town Manager McCall, do you have something you wanted to say?
Well, you had a discussion item about the road opening permits, and then he asked a question about the paving today. And then, as I keep just suggesting, the open meeting law doesn't want you to talk about things that are unanticipated. So I think you could say the paving is, but now when you're getting into policy and things about how we handle things, then that should be a separate agenda item for the future discussion. That's all I'm pointing out.
Mr.
Okay,
I,
thank you, Councilor Lazo.
I agree with you and I disagree with you. Only because we do have our road policy, it's there. Like I'm a contractor that puts a sewer water line, I'm not a big guy to do that whole road. And say I go and I got my license, what happens is, it's actually detailed any opening that you have that's temporarily backfilled before you do the permanent patch. Because I remember off the top of my head, you have to pole patch it, leave it there so it settles, whatever. In some aspects, you have to use flowable fill. And Heather's got all those specs, those policies are already there. I think what Kevin's talking about is why aren't they going by them? And Heather's saying that it's Mass DOT, and I just don't know where the safety on Mass DOT on that type of material with stones in it.
I agree with you, I totally do.
That's dangerous.
I don't think it's going to be happening anymore because now they're at the point where they're milling it down, except for the fact when it is gravel. We're putting gravel back on
No, I
the,
understand that. I mean, when we go forward. I know it's probably not gonna happen on Main Street, but
future project.
patch it. The
Yep.
one on South Street we talked about, I don't know what that was they used to patch that. It was gone in
Supposedly it was
2 hours. It was
coldness.
gone in 2 hours.
But, and that was why and that one, we called, I saw that one going home, got a call at 4:30 when I was home from Phil saying, the police are calling, something's wrong with that patch. I said, call National Grid. I have no idea what they put in that hole. And they went and blocked it off and
Right,
then
I
fixed
saw
it.
that. But I just wanna try to prevent a nasty accident.
I know that it was raining the day that they put that in and that might have had some reason why that
Okay,
was in such bad shape.
all right, thank you. Is that it on that topic? Okay. I did give him some leeway because that was part of the discussion at the last meeting, so. All right, I'll accept the meeting to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? This meeting is adjourned, thank you.